January 13th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for an exclusive forum featuring the candidates for LA County District Attorney. Join KBLA's Tavis Smiley as he helps navigate what promises to be a forum full of fire when the candidates trying to unseat current LADA George Gascon come together on stage on the campus of the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. Again, it's the LA County District Attorney Forum, live, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, Saturday morning, January 13th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Helping to raise your civic IQ. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
But anyway, you can catch me any day, sipping Hennessy, and my peeps get plenty yay. With many ways to see that I hold this dough. Cats faked it, I made it, I told you so. Mocha latte, kid, me no play. Stress-free, sexy, and Montego Bay. You know it's a pity that y'all look like idiots. Yo boo, let me know when I should rip this cat.
My man, he don't call me anymore. We don't even kiss. Am I his fool? What must I do to keep him loving me? All this love I give, that ain't cool. Got what you want, I got what you need. Ooh, this time I'll make it hot. Come on, I got what you want, got what you need, baby. Can I get another shot? Come on, this time I'll make it hot. Call my man.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. A little Nicole Ray to get us started. Make it hot, because that's what I do. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show where we talk all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I, of course, am your host, Jill Munroe, and I definitely need to make it hot tonight, seeing as they said that this is supposed to be the coldest night of the year in Southern California. Yo, we're only 8 days into the year. Can we talk about that? It's supposed to be like 41 degrees or something like that overnight. Hello, I live in LA. That's inappropriate. That doesn't work for me. They must have us confused. Global warming, real. Definitely a thing. And, stay tapped in to KBLA Talk 1580 because we got something for you in relation to that. Because listen, if you don't believe in it and you're in LA right now, step outside. You already know. You know. At any rate, let me give you a rundown of what we are going to get into because absolutely, we have some things to discuss this evening. First up, have you guys seen it? Have you checked it out? If you haven't, we're going to give you some of the highlights. Jonathan Majors has done his first interview since the guilty verdict was handed down. And, interestingly enough, there is only one thing that Jonathan took responsibility for in this whole ordeal. So we're going to get into that and a bit more. We're also, in the second hour, we're going to talk about Oprah Winfrey. She, yesterday at the Golden Globes, the 81st annual Golden Globes, and we're going to get into the Golden Globes. I actually was in attendance. I covered the red carpet, so we'll talk about that. But Oprah cleared up the rumors about the alleged beef with her and Taraji. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also in the third hour. Listen, the responses keep rolling out. It hasn't even been a week yet since that Cat Williams interview dropped. Last I checked, it was at over 35 million views. And everybody and their mama, including me, has responded to the interview. Well, Cedric, the entertainer, he was at the Golden Globes yesterday too. And he said he's standing on business as far as his comments about the interview. And Steve Harvey also gave an update, and a couple of more people, really a lot of people. So we're going to get into all of that. Plus, I have a Nia Long child support update. We also are going to talk a little bit about Kanye and Dog. What does he have his wife walking around in? What? We're going to talk about that. And we have some news about 21 Savage and Prince. Before we get into all of that, of course, we like to start the evening with a few conversation starters. These are topics that we don't really have the time to get into the full story, but we're going to talk a little bit about it. So, like I told you last night, I attended the 81st Annual Golden Globe Awards. It was cold out there, too. Well, wait, before we get into that, first of all, are you following us on all social media? KBLA 1580. Hit us up because, there's always things happening there. Follow me personally at Stiletto Jill. And this is important. If you want to check out my outfit, my ensemble, my look from the Golden Globes, I did put a reel up with some behind the scenes footage. And y'all, I got to talk to Mr. Lenny Kravitz on the carpet. So after all of the hoopla, all of the conversation about Lenny and Black media and his place in it and the connections to it, I will tell you that his publicist, Lenny didn't talk to many people yesterday. I can tell you that. His publicist did come right to me and ask me, hey, are you interested in talking with Lenny? He's nominated. He has a song tonight. And I said, absolutely. And she's like, I'll bring him right to you. He'll be here at 3:00. I'll bring him right over to you. And sure as her word. And let me tell you, a publicist's word on a red carpet is gold for you because, especially for an event like this, it's hard to pull people and get them to talk to you. There are hundreds of outlets there. The carpet is long. It wraps completely around. And there's so many different people there, wanting to partake in the activities and have conversations. So she swept Lenny past a bunch of people and brought him right over to me. And I had a great interview with him. But which we're going to play the interview later this week. And I also talked with Coleman Domingo. And I'll give you more interviews about the detail, actually what I said the but about. I'll get into that later when I play the interview for you. Andy?
Real quick, I know you've worked on several red carpets. So is it kind of like a free-for-all low-key? Like, the artist or whoever, the actor comes out and, for everybody who's there as media, is it just like, hey, Jonathan Majors, come talk to me. And
kind of.
Okay.
So what it is, in my former life, I've been a publicist and I did, red carpets artists. A lot of times what they base it as, they're going to hit the major outlets first. We've talked a lot about, on this show, on other shows, in the media about what happens on red carpets. They're going to hit those major outlets. I guess they feel like there's more bang for their buck. They might be more familiar with them. And then it becomes a shell game of how much time they have, who's at what time, if they're going to wait. Do you have a relationship with the publicist or the person to get them to come over to you? All those things play a role in it. So we'll get into more about the Golden Globes on the other side. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward. I have a dream.
On Friday, January 12th, as we head into Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. annual holiday weekend, KBLA Talk 1580 will announce a historic climate justice campaign aimed at California communities of color. KBLA Talk 1580 is joined in this historic effort by both public and private partners including LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Cal and Dow, the Sierra Club, and many other partners. There's a clear connection between Dr. King's moral conscience on the notion of reverence for all human life and the future of our world house. This year, on the MLK holiday weekend, KBLA assigns itself the task of elevating the climate conversation by amplifying the voices of those who are most impacted by the climate catastrophes we are witnessing in real time. Stay tuned for more details. At KBLA Talk 1580, Climate is king.
With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So just a couple of little more bits from the Golden Globes. Listen, there's some conversation in the chat asking why Dave Chappelle didn't win. I'm not sure. I didn't realize he was nominated. There's a lot of categories, though. If he was, what I can tell you about the voting block for the Golden Globes is that it is voted on by 300 journalists from around the world. They're called the Hollywood Foreign Press. And so sometimes that means that they've made let me back up. They were accused of being racist. There weren't many black members, I think maybe 2 for like a very long time. So they have reconfigured their voting block and tried to be more diverse across the board. I don't know if you remember, one year there was a call for a boycott of the Golden Globes and they went away for a minute. So they just, I think, came back last year. And, it's a process. So sometimes people are going to walk away unhappy. Some people might be happier because movies like Barbie didn't crash in. There were other award ceremonies also that took place over the weekend. There was the Creative Arts Emmy Awards ceremony. We're going to get into some winners from that. And there was the Hollywood Creative Alliance, which is another critics association. They had their film awards Saturday night, and their TV awards are tonight. I'm a member of that as well. Shout out to them. And, it was a great evening. There's, of course, some gossip attached to it. The cameras were set up. As I said, they're trying to reconfigure the event. So there were cameras inside that as you went to commercial were showing like crowd shots so you could see some of the things happening. And there was some conversation about, they showed Kylie Jenner and her boyfriend Timothy Chalamet. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, so we're going to move on from that. But he plays the lead in the remake of Willy Wonka that was just released. And there was a shot of Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez. Warning, teeny bopper gossip, but you may want to know. Your kids might. Where people are alleging that after trying to read their lips, that because Selena obviously walked over with some tea to Taylor, but she forgot to do the thing, that the athletes always do, the basketball players, you always see them covering their mouths when they're talking because they know the cameras are around. She forgot to do that. So what they're saying, as far as lip reading, allegedly, Selena's come out and denied this, by the way, but this is what they're saying, and you can look at the video and take a look for yourself. She says that, I asked for a picture with him being Timothy, and she, being Kylie Jenner, said no. And then Taylor's friend says, with Timothy? And Selena nods, and Taylor grasps. So That may or may not have gone down. Selena says no, by the way. I should let you know that Storm Reed won an Emmy for her guest appearance in for best for her guest appearance, and she won the Emmy for The Last of Us for guest actress in a drama series. Also, it's Kiki Palmer, baby. She won an Emmy for outstanding host for a game show, and that's for Password. It is the first time that a black woman has won the award, and the first time that a woman has, I think, won the award as well, or at least even been a woman has been nominated, I guess, in the last 15 years. But I know for sure it's the first black woman. So shout out to Kiki, breaking down barriers and being a mom and all of that. Also, Jasmine Guy won her first Emmy for Outstanding Actress in a Short Form Comedy or Drama for the series The Chronicles of Jessica Wu. And if you are a fan of Hulu's The Bear, Ayo Edebiri, she won an award for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy or Drama. So shout out to all of them. Let me get to some of these chats in the comment because, as always, the YouTube chat is lit. If you want the visual experience to go along with this audio experience, log into YouTube. And, of course, if at any point tonight you would like to join the conversation, hit us up, 800-920-1580. We like that. We love to hear your commentary. Tony Yayo in the chat wants to know about Jonathan Majors. Have the studios canceled magazine Dream Shed? And the answer is it is been shelved indefinitely. So that means there's no release date yet. It was an independent film that was picked up. And right now, we don't know if it'll ever see the light of day. It received a lot of buzz when it premiered. I think it was at one of the film festivals last year. I can't remember if it was Sundance or the Venice Film Festival. One of those received a lot of attention, but unfortunately, we don't know if it'll ever see the light of day. We'll talk about that when we get into it. Terry says, Jonathan Majors might get his job back if he puts on a dress and bra. Right, Jill? Listen, I'm going to ask you to look at the number of people that have been successful that hasn't done that. And just think about that. I know that is a popular thing. They want to put a dress on you. But I also ask you about the idea of comedy and the people that think that imitating a woman is funny, and that's all you kind of got to do. I don't know. Personal opinions, they're all out there, but I do not necessarily think that that is the key to your success. You know what I'm saying? I mean, did what he did, doing people dirty. Did he put on a dress? I don't know. Allegedly. So there you go. And shout out to Tony Yayo that says Whitley won an Emmy. Different world. She sure did. Her first one. So we are extremely proud of Jasmine Guy because obviously, I don't know about y'all. I've been watching Jasmine Guy since she was an extra on Fame, doing that spread eagle jump at the end of the sequence on the opening title thing. Her and Michael De Lorenzo. That, what was his character, Michael's name on New York Undercover? Anyway, I can't remember. Okay, so just a couple of more things, and then we're going to get into Jonathan Majors. So, fans of Purple Rain, are you guys ready for a stage adaptation of it? I'm going to be honest. I don't know how I feel about this. And I honestly think that if Prince was still alive, he would be opposed to this as well. However, there will be an adaptation of Purple Rain that is set to hit Broadway. There's no release date yet, right? It will feature a score by a Pulitzer Prize finalist. His name is Brandon Jacob Jenkins, and he currently has a play on Broadway called Appropriate, and it will be directed by Liliana Blaine Cruz, who recently directed Skin of Our Teeth, which is also on Broadway. So, are you guys going to show up to see Purple Rain, the musical? We'll have to see. And I love Prince. Prince is like my favorite. Also, we're going to get into, and I'll save this for later, but there's also a 21 Savage film coming. And I'll just leave that at that, and we're going to get into the details of that, because that is unintentional comedy. Side note to Tony Yayo in the chat, absolutely Prince's estate approved that. Prince's estate has technically probably been approving a lot of things that, the purple bad one would not have agreed with, but that's what happens when you pass away. Maybe your wishes will get upheld. Maybe, people will do what's best for the money. So that's what's going down. We'll see. Maybe it'll be amazing, I mean, Michael Jackson has a musical, and it's fantastic. Also, side note, in sports, Ja Morant out for the season. He is undergoing a season injury surgery for a labrum tear in his shoulder, right? I don't know. The internet, you guys are mean. And of course, I saw a tweet on X that said, maybe this is karma for him throwing up his guns in his first game back. I'm not going to say all that. I'm just going to say best wishes to Ja. The league will certainly miss him this season. But, it did say season ending. So, 2025, Ja, 2025. We'll see what you got for us. All right? Listen, Jonathan Majors, I kind of don't know what to say. Like, here's the thing. People are like, shouldn't he have done this interview before? Not necessarily. He might have incriminated himself. Clearly, it seemed to be that he and his defense lawyers had a plan. Now, whether that plan was a great one, whether that plan should have been maybe executed differently, we'll never know, because we are here now. But he did an interview which aired this morning on Good Morning America with ABC News anchor Lindsay Davis. And he discussed being shocked and afraid after hearing the verdict, right? He said that, he didn't understand how it happened based on the evidence, that he didn't see how it was possible. He said he did nothing wrong. He said he absolutely did not cause the fracture to her finger or his bruising. He said he doesn't know. He's unsure how it happened, and he wished that he knew, but he does not, unfortunately. Now, having said all that, I'm going to skip over some of that. I'm going to tell you what he did take responsibility for. And I find it interesting, maybe not wrong, but I just wonder, do you think whoever was helping him put together his, statement, that maybe, just maybe, they were checking out what some of the internet was saying and trying to tap into how he can get at least some of his audience back, and maybe that'll, put him back in the good graces of Hollywood? I don't know. But let's listen to what he had to say about what he is saying he did do wrong under the circumstances.
Do you feel you're not responsible for her injuries at all?
I shouldn't have been in the car. I shouldn't have stepped out of the relationship. I shouldn't have been in the relationship. If I'm not in the car, none of this is happening. If I leave the relationship, none of this is happening. If I'm man enough or brave enough to say, I want to see somebody else, or I'm done now, I'm not in that car. We're not here. I'm responsible for those things.
But none of her injuries.
I can't say that. None of her injuries.
So, I find it interesting. One, I will say, taking responsibility for cheating and stepping outside your relationship and saying if you had just left, that's responsible. I agree with that. As far as if he believes he is innocent, at this point, I wonder if maybe he should have waited, maybe that's the point, until after he was sentenced to make these statements, because, doesn't the judge want to hear that you have some type of, maybe that's only for parole and probation. I don't know, because, I don't deal in personal legal things like that, so I'm not really sure how the thing goes. But I don't know if maybe he should have waited till after sentencing. I don't know if they will look at his statements as arrogance, and maybe that will influence if he gets time. He could potentially serve up to a year in jail behind this. So I don't know, but him saying, things like, a black man chasing a white woman down the street, and I knew that she, was erratic. 2 years is a long, and I get it. You get in a relationships, you hope that someone will change, you want to work with them, whatever. But if you are really seeing yourself on this path as to helping your people, right? I'm not going to get into your personal choice on whether or not you can help your people, with a white woman as a maid. I'm not going to get into that, because there have been a lot of great men, men and women, who stand with black people that maybe have a different choice of a mate. It is an interesting conversation, one that we can have at another time. I'm not ready to tackle that beast tonight, but I do find it interesting that he's throwing up these type of, things that when black women say them, they are called bitter, or, the conversation as such. I just find it an interesting position to take now. A lot of people agree with him, though. A lot of people, as I said, had been saying that on the internet. So that's why I wonder, was he tapping in? Was he taking a look like, how can I best position myself to get the people behind me so that there's a reason, or I can regain some semblance of my career? We'll have to see. Listen, when we come forward, we're also going to get into his comments about Megan Good, the new love of his life. Megan was there at the interview, looking beautiful as always, and very concerned about the situation that her man finds himself in, and him feeling hurt and not understanding. But we'll get into that and some of the comments, and that 21 Savage movie. I really want to tell you about that. All of that and more on the other side. You were locked in. Oh, no, wait, I got a few more seconds. So let me tell you something else about Jonathan that I also observed. He did try and explain his Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama comments. And listen, we got them. We got what he meant when he said, and I know a lot of people are taking the stance, how can you ask a white woman to be like a black woman? Listen, he's talking about the traits, and we know that, and those can go across rates. I'm not going to be petty like that. I understand now. We can talk about whether or not at this level he's a Martin Luther King, but aspiring to be so isn't a bad thing. But we'll get into all of that on the other side, like I said, and his comments about Megan Good. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Said to call him back. Why silly me? Why didn't I suspect he was making love to someone else? Boy, you can't let me have what you want.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. New York City advocates and elected officials are calling on the Adams administration to allow migrant families to stay in shelters. Their demands come as 60-day notices come due for the first of thousands of migrant families in shelters. The initial deadline was supposed to fall right after Christmas, but the Black mayor's administration extended it by 2 weeks. That means migrant families have to pack up from the hotels they've been staying in and reapply for shelter. However, advocates are concerned families will be relocated and many migrant children will have to leave the schools. The Spokane, Washington City Council is making history by swearing in the city's first black president. Betsy Wilkerson is taking the oath of office alongside new council members Michael Cathcart, Paul Dillon, and Kitty Klitsky. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, like a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in the combo. Single item at regular price.
I have a dream.
On Friday, January 12th, as we head into Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. annual holiday weekend, KBLA Talk 1580 will announce a historic climate justice campaign aimed at California communities of color. KBLA Talk 1580 is joined in this historic effort by both public and private partners including LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Cal and Dow, the Sierra Club, and many other partners. There's a clear connection between Dr. King's moral conscience on the notion of reverence for all human life and the future of our world house. This year, on the MLK holiday weekend, KBLA assigns itself the task of elevating the climate conversation by amplifying the voices of those who are most impacted by the climate catastrophes we are witnessing in real time. Stay tuned for more details. At KBLA Talk 1580, Climate is king.
With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze, la 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
She gotta shake a little something. Ooh. Throwing that thing from left, right,
know I'ma love my hoochie hoops. Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I like that song. I like Bruno Mars. I know y'all trying to call him an appropriator at times. I rock with Bruno Mars, and he is great as far as live performances go. So, I don't know. Sometimes I think you guys take stuff too far. I understand the protection, but let him rock out.
And here's the thing. He's always paid homage, though.
Facts.
He's never, like, disrespected. He's like, these are the people who did. These are my influences, and shout out to them.
And employs a lot of black artists as far as in his band and things like that. So, shout out to Bruno Mars. I think doesn't he have another run coming back in Vegas? Listen, Vegas residencies want to take all my money, all the coins. And, I want them to, too. Let's get to the chat, though, because they are bubbling. Ben Frank says, Kang has definitely been conquered. Terry says, maybe John should just apologize. Forensic accountant says, of course he knew. Knew what? Which part were we on at that part, forensic accountant? Knew that he had a chaotic situation with his then girlfriend Grace and that he should have got up out of there. We'll see. Ben Frank also says he'll get probation for a misdemeanor. Probably. I mean, realistically, that's what we expect. But however, the crimes, because they are crimes at this point, he's been convicted. It's up to a year in jail. So that is on the table. But probably not. Forensic accountant says that Jonathan will relapse. And Ben Frank says that he was set up. The situation was complicated. And he did bring up the fact that he tried to run away. And he said that if it was a black man chasing a white woman down the street, he might have got shot. He's not necessarily wrong per se, but hey, you knew, as you said, all of these things were possible and you still continued on. I'm not talking about him getting in the relationship. I'm talking about at whatever point the relationship turned toxic, he still continued in it, and we all sometimes have to grow through stuff, give people the opportunity to fix and change, but those are the choices we made. And like he said, now he's living with it. If he just would have got out the relationship. Andy?
Not trying to defend Jonathan Majors or anything like that, but it just got me thinking, like, I've said this before several times, when it comes to dating. I just feel like sometimes men, generally speaking, we can't express anger a lot of the times when it comes to, our significant other, if they happen to be a woman or whatnot. And I think it's a little bit unfair. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm upset with my partner and, I'm yelling, not that I want to yell, but, I'm human, right? I'm upset about something, but yet, it'll be seen as if like, hey, you're raising your voice a little bit too loud. But, if it was the other way around, it's as if like the man has to sit there and just take it.
And I definitely understand that feeling because, in some ways, it is unfair, right? But I also think that comes with communication and the person that you're with and being able to learning how to express your anger, your frustration, and them understanding, your triggers and your balance and your things like that. And like, if I knock a candle off the table, that doesn't mean I'm going to knock you in the head. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that. But again, perhaps that is the lesson that he learned. Some people, people always say you get your black people wake up card. I'm using a different word than others may choose to use, right? But maybe he ascertained after being in this relationship that, when I'm expressing myself, she doesn't understand. And that misunderstandings can lead to heightened situations as well. It's hard to say. Tony Yayo says, dude is the next Isaiah Washington or Nate Parker, will fade from public view. I think that is an interesting, and understandably valid position to take, because both Isaiah and Nate are still around and still work, but some people are adamant about not wanting to be involved with them, and obviously each one of these three situations are three different total scenarios. And the only thing that you can compare realistically is that they are Black men who were at the time on the cusp of or at, a great moment in their career, and some past decisions ended up impacting them in a way, but all vastly different scenarios. So we will have to see. Ben Frank said Majors is unfortunately minor now in Hollywood. It's crazy. Adam Milan is just enjoying the conversation and laughing. Again, it's complicated. It is, because I guess with contrition, right? If you apologize, in theory, maybe people can move on. But if you don't feel that you're wrong, or that you haven't been allowed to present your side of the story in the way that you feel is true and right, then you could be a little frustrated. It's going to be interesting to watch. We don't know if he'll do any more interviews or if he will pop up anywhere, what kind of the path will be. But we do know also that Megan frequently produces and directs her own projects. Maybe they'll do something together. Speaking of Megan, right? Let's hear what he had to say about Megan in the interview.
That bay and make sure it's not there anymore.
Through it all, Major's new girlfriend, actress Megan Good, has remained by his side, even present for our interview.
How would you describe your relationship?
Well, she's an angel. She's held me down like a curated, I'm so blessed to have her. The relationship is still fresh, but I think I found her.
So, Jonathan, I think you should retire the Coretta line. That must have made somebody swoon at some point. I guarantee you he has used that line before. Maybe not, but for him to keep alluding to it, it must have worked somewhere, somehow, some kind of way. We'll see. But I would leave that little comment alone. I know people are looking at Megan sideways, but here's the other thing. We don't know when they started dating. We don't know when they connected. We also don't know who the woman was that sent the text that started off this whole, lineup of events. Not that we need to know. It's not necessarily our business, but, that relationship came together very quickly. Just saying. At any rate, when we come forward, we're going to have more trending topics and headlines. We're going to get into this 21 Savage movie. Listen, what I can tell you about this is, if you have time, go take a gander at my Twitter. That'll give you a little hint about the funnies that I have. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So remember, if you want to join in the conversation, 800-920-1580. So before we move off of this Jonathan Majors story, just 2 more things that I want to follow up with you with. One being that Grace Jabari, that's his ex-girlfriend, her attorney, Brittany Henderson, gave a statement regarding his Good Morning America interview. And what she said was, his denigration of our jury system is not dissimilar from the above the law attitude that he has maintained throughout this legal process. The timing of these new statements demonstrates a clear lack of remorse for the actions for which he was found guilty and should make the sentencing decisions fairly easy for the court. And that's kind of what I was talking about when I said timing-wise, I don't know if he should have done this before he'd been sentenced, because obviously Grace's attorney, they seem to be pushing for more. I wonder if a civil suit will follow since the two have broken up. And if she claims, that it's been hard for her to find work or emotional distress or anything along those lines. And it might be easier to get a win in a civil suit because she also has a guilty verdict to go along with that. We will have to see. As far as his acting career, he was asked if he thought he would work in Hollywood again, if he deserves a second chance. And he says, I think I do. I pray I do. If it's God's plan and God's timing, I think I do. And I hope other people think that. So we will see. We will see what happens, what develops. Okay, now, 21 Savage. We know that it was discovered a few years back that he actually was not born here in America, that he was born in the UK, and he's not an American citizen, although he spent a good majority of his life growing up out there in Georgia. Well, listen, there is a film being made by Donald Glover. It's being presented by Lionsgate. It's called American Dream, the 21 Savage story, and it's a biopic. And it stars Caleb McLaughlin. You know him from Stranger Things. He was Little Ricky Bell in the New Edition series. He's actually in the Book of Clarence, which is a new film that is coming out on the 12th. And I'll give you a review of that. I went to the premiere on Friday. We'll talk a little bit about that. And Donald Glover is playing 21 Savage as an adult. Here's the crazy thing about this to me. Before we even get into, you got to check out the trailer. There's new music coming from 21 Savage naturally with this. But one, Donald, you are older than what 21 is right now. People can play younger. But what? Like, listen, you have got to check out the photos. Like, it's crazy. I cannot even tell you. I don't know what to think. I don't. So here's the thing, right? It is basically the story of, his incarceration by the U.S. Immigration and Customs, ICE, basically, enforcement. And that was in 2019 when that happened. And he was arrested, and then I guess he was held for several weeks, and they threatened him with deportation. But, a Free 21 campaign led to his release and the ability to remain in the country. And then it came out that he was married, and that helped him to work towards getting his status. And we know that he has recently got it because he was on the It's All a Blur tour this summer with Drake, and he got to do his first international show in Canada. And we know that Canada is notorious for saying, nope, can't come here. Nope, can't come in here if all your paperwork isn't right, if you haven't been a good citizen. So check out the teaser. Right? The disrespect. Hey, the disrespect is high with the images from this one. I don't know what to say. Certainly could be a compelling story, but I really, really, really don't know what to say. So check out the trailer. I retweeted it on my Twitter page. So I mentioned Friday night, I went to the premiere of The Book of Clarence, which is a new film that was written, directed by James Samuels. He is the same individual that put out The Harder They Fall, which was the Western that had Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Regina King, Dion Cole, a bunch of other people. It was really entertaining. So this time, this is his next film, also executive produced by Jay-Z. And Jay-Z was at the premiere. He came and spoke. James talked about how Jay knows a guy for everything. If he said, hey, I want to, put this scene in the film, but I need a rocket ship and for it to circulate the earth 3 times or whatever, he said Jay would be like, yeah, I know a guy, just call da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I will say that it is an interesting film. Some people feel, because the Book of Clarence, you can just infer from that there is a biblical aspect to it. Tiana Taylor also stars in it. Well, I didn't tell you who stars in it. Lakeith Stanfield stars. He's Clarence. Caleb McLaughlin is actually in this as well. I said Tiana Taylor. Who else? Why am I blanking on the cast? We'll talk about it later this week, but it was certainly interesting. And if you like music and you're a fan of D'Angelo, there's a new D'Angelo cut that will be featured on the soundtrack. It's actually Jay-Z and D'Angelo, and it is a 9-minute song. So get into it, get ready. The film drops Thursday, and like I said, we'll get more into that later in the week. Okay, also, for you NFL fans, the NFL and NBC are feeling the heat. And the reason why is that they have put an AFC playoff game exclusively on NBC's streaming service, Peacock. It is the first time that an NFL playoff game won't be available on national broadcast television. So here's the thing. The game will be aired on NBC in the two local markets. It's the game between the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, paywalls are definitely becoming a thing, but we all griped and complained when Monday Night Football left ABC and went to ESPN, and the complaints were, well, not everybody has cable and we should be able to see it, and then people adapted. So with Amazon buying into the Thursday night rights and making a play to get more into the NBA, along with Apple, this could be something that we're seeing a lot more of. You know, NBC took a lot of heat last summer, or not last summer. What was that? 2 summers ago last winter maybe, with the Winter Olympics, when they put certain events strictly on Peacock. So I think this is a thing of the future, and we got to get into it. Andy?
Has the viewership pretty much stayed the same, or has it increased, decreased?
Well, this is going to be for the NFL. This is going to be the first, because the Dolphins and the Chiefs play this weekend, right? Coming up.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is going to be the first time. We'll have to see. Don't know if they'll release numbers per se. If they're good, I'm sure they will.
Well, like with Monday Night Football, though.
Oh, you mean from the move from ABC to ESPN?
Yes.
It's been so long. It's been over, I think, 20 years since that happened.
Since it's been on ESPN?
When it moved there, when did it move there?
This is probably a couple years.
I think it's been it's been much longer than that.
I mean, I know they're like affiliates.
Yeah. I don't, because there was complaints. 2006. Yeah. So 18 years. I was close. Yeah. So from 1970 to 2005. It was on ABC. Monday Night Football was a thing. And then it just recently returned a couple of games to ABC on certain nights. They will broadcast a game, but that just started in 2020. So before the pandemic. Listen, when we come forward, we are going to get into Oprah's comments about not having the beef. Vivica Fox had something to add to this conversation about money and black women. And Danielle Brooks shared a story about how Taraji saved the day on set. Plus, we got a lot more trending topics and headlines for you. Stay locked in. Listen. You love it, right? Of course you do. RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports on the other side.
If you get naughty, baby, here's my phone. Slide with your boy to the bar. Slide with your boy to the car. I've been searching everywhere and now here you are. Oh, chunky. Looking for them girls with the big old hoops.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the